What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Altitude Show. This is Elevation Journal number 11. I'm your host, Dave Brinker. This segment is brought to you by Stealthy Hunter Nutrition. I use their supplements. I love them. My favorite is the vanilla and chocolate bone broth proteins. I have a smoothie every morning for breakfast. I've kind of, through trial and error, I've figured out my favorite one. It's a vanilla mango banana smoothie. I put fresh frozen mangoes, fresh frozen bananas, hemp seeds, non-sweetened almond milk, and the vanilla bone broth protein. I do 2 scoops for my breakfast every morning, and it's amazing. You should go check out Stealthy Hunter Nutrition and buy some and use my code Altitude. You'll get a discount. It helps the show. All right, so let's get going. Last week, I put out 2 podcasts, one with my friend and Alaska guide and outfitter, Cole Kramer, and the other a podcast that I recorded on Mountain Tough's podcast, and I just released it on my platform too. I hope you've gotten to listen to both of them. The Mountain Tough podcast was a lot about mental and physical health, depression, anxiety, entrepreneurship, mental toughness, stuff like that. I thought it turned out great. My interview with Cole Kramer was super fun. I've known Cole for over 15 years. We both kind of grew up in the outdoor hunting industry together. And he's become like a go-to specialist in Alaska especially on Kodiak Island, where he specializes in brown bear, mountain goats, and some black-tailed deer. There was a few things I wanted to share from that podcast that I thought were pretty powerful. Cole was born and raised in Kansas, and throughout the course of his childhood, developed this dream to be a guide in Alaska. I think some of his family traveled up there frequently, and he got to go up there a couple times, and he loved it. And so he's a good example of someone that saw a vision and just started chasing it, and he has never stopped since. Excuse me. One of his, I believe it was high school teachers, would even let him look up phone numbers on his break in a magazine and call other outfitters up there and ask for a job. That's how bad he wanted it. And that's how he got started too. Next thing you know, he's living up there, like volunteering to help these outfitters out, not getting paid jack shit, and building a career that over the course of the last 15, 20 years has become amazing. I thought that was a pretty inspiring story for seeing a vision and going for it. The next thing I thought was that I've noticed Cole over the years that I find really interesting and also just inspiring is he is someone that likes to serve others. His strength in life, like he says in the podcast, is carrying heavy loads. He can carry the heaviest loads. I know a few people like this, but he's one of those guys. He's just so naturally strong. He's just very athletic. In this last year, he got the opportunity to guide a veteran, a Marine, Jonathan Blank, who lost his legs in Afghanistan. Jonathan, from what Cole said, I believe weighs 135 pounds. And basically over the course of time, Cole and Barney's Sports Chalet out of Anchorage developed this pack that Jonathan could basically be on Cole's back. Cole could carry him up the mountain, and they went on a goat hunt, and Jonathan killed a goat. And what's interesting is when I was trying to find pictures or videos from this hunt, I couldn't find any on Cole's profile. Maybe one. But he did this, and it's an amazing feat. He carried Jonathan up the mountain to kill a mountain goat, 135 pounds. Jonathan made a great shot on a goat, killed an amazing goat. It's an incredible story. I think Black Rifle Coffee Company has a film on it somewhere, and a write-up. You guys should check that out. It's an amazing story. Regardless, I thought it was cool because Cole didn't post about it a bunch of times, bang his chest around. He just did it. And he did it out of the good of his heart. He like he said in the podcast, he used his gift to help somebody else. He's like, I'm not a genius. I'm not like book smart, but I can carry heavy loads. So I thought that was amazing. The third thing is we talked a lot about leadership, and he guides on Kodiak Island in Alaska, which has severe conditions. And people come up there, they spend a lot of money to come up there and hunt brown bears or mountain goats or whatever with him. And then what will happen is they think they're ready mentally and physically. And usually they're not. They get up there, it's sideways raining for days on end. It's miserably wet and cold, and the hunting's slow for long periods of time, et cetera, et cetera. It pushes people to their limit. And Cole's job, as he describes, is making people feel comfortable outside their comfort zone, letting them know that it's going to be okay. He's going to lead them. Don't quit. We aren't quitting. We're going to continue. We're not going home. And he's had a pretty good success record of keeping people on the mountain and pushing them to success. I can't remember the exact number, but I think he said 108 goat hunts or something like that, maybe 100 successful goat hunts where they did not leave the mountain. They always go. I think one time he said they didn't go, but even no matter what the weather's doing, as long as it's safe, they're going to go. That client's going to have an experience for a lifetime. So Cole's freaking tough. You have to be tough to do that. The last thing, and then I'll let you guys just listen to the podcast, was this industry. A lot of people want to get into the guiding industry. I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be an Alaska guide too. But they want to also make a lot of money. And especially when you're starting out, just like a lot of industries, you have to be willing to scrub toilets, pack horses, cook, whatever. You're starting out at the ground floor. You're not going to make any money. Cole's like, if you want to make money, this is not for you. You need to be okay not making money for a long period of time. And even today, he has a very successful operation, and he'll tell you, he's like, I'm not getting rich doing this, but he loves it. And he makes good money, but it's taken him 15, 20 years to get there. So the point is I thought that was just another reminder of starting out at the bottom. It isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. Start out, embrace it, work harder than everybody else, give away your services. If not, give it away for free. If you need to get paid a little bit, that's fine, but you work up to where Cole is. It takes, again, like last week's podcast, the 10, 15 year, 20 year project. So I think there's a lot of correlations to many careers, if not all careers. That's kind of the same. Most of the time, we all have to start at the bottom, and that's good because it shapes us to be able to do it at a whole nother level later in our life. So go listen to the Cole Kramer podcast on anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also watch the full interview on YouTube at The Altitude Show. Subscribe to our YouTube while you're at it. All right. So a couple check-ins this week. On the mental side, I wanted to share with you guys one of the best things if you have anxiety or you struggle, just you kind of feel on edge all the time, like I do. One of the things that's helped me the most out of all the different things I've been trying, from diet to exercise to alcohol consumption to sugar consumption, all the things, I'm constantly nerding out on this stuff, trying to figure out what the right combination is. The one major thing that out of everything I do that I think helps the most is sleep. And I have an Apple Watch, and I monitor my sleep every single night. And so I have a pretty good, and I've been doing that for months at this point. So I have months of data to work off of, and I can compare and contrast different nights of sleep and and then average them out. So one of the things that I think I look at is just overall time sleep, right? So I average over the last 6 months, I average about 7 hours, 53 minutes of sleep. It varies between 7 hours, 50 to 8.5 hours. I generally go to bed at like 8 o'clock. 8:30, and I'll read for a little bit, whatever, and then I'll fall asleep by 9. I'm usually wanting to wake up, whatever, 5:30, 6, whatever. And in the course of those hours, I'm asleep for 7 hours and 50 minutes to 8.5 hours on average. And I've found even if I vary from that, even a half hour or an hour, I can feel it the next day. And if I do that 2 days in a row, I can feel it for several days. Now, everybody's different. I have friends that can operate on 4 hours of sleep every day. That is not me. I have figured out that I have to keep a strict schedule, consistent schedule, even when I travel, where I have alarms set on my phone and my watch where it automatically goes on Do Not Disturb at 8:30 p.m. and it comes back on, I think, at 6. And I am in bed at 8:30 max, 8:45 maybe sometimes, but once the kids are down, I'm down. I know that's early, but that's just the way it is because I feel so much better. I mean, the decrease in anxiety when I have a good night's sleep is at 75, 80%. It's insane. And I think the reason for that is when you have good sleep, my REM sleep averages right around 25% of my sleep, which is what doctors recommend. REM sleep is the cycle of sleep that processes emotions. That's when you dream. And the interesting thing is since I cut out alcohol 6 months ago, alcohol absolutely obliterates REM sleep. That's the cycle that it just gets ruined when you're drinking. And so when I was drinking alcohol, I'm like, why is my sleep so shitty? Well, that's why. Now that I don't, and I keep a strict schedule, and I'm getting that 25% REM sleep, a couple hours or whatever, I feel so much better. It doesn't mean it's perfect every night or that I don't feel tired some days, but for the most part, by getting the right amount of sleep and the right type of sleep, it has been game changing to the anxiety. So anybody who has that, or just even if you don't have anxiety and you just want to feel better during the day, don't go to bed so late. Stop staring at your screen and figure out what your schedule is, whatever yours is. I would recommend getting smart devices so you can track it and actually know what it is and what you need. Average it out over a course of a few months and then target that every night, no matter where you are, traveling or not, and get that sleep. So that has really helped me. Hope it helps you. On the physical side, I had a blood panel done last week. Exactly 12 months ago, I had another one, I had a blood panel done. So I wanted to compare the two. And I'll spare you the details of all of it. But the main thing that I saw, because I made major dietary changes. Obviously, I quit drinking alcohol. I minimized sugar. All the life changes I've made. Exercise frequency has gone way up. Everything was, my panel looked great. And the comparisons to last year were all really good. But the biggest difference was in my triglycerides. Triglycerides are basically is a measure of fat in the blood. And if your triglycerides are higher than normal, that puts you at higher risk of heart disease, stroke. Apparently, it clogs the arteries, stuff like that. So last year, my blood test, I had a 186 triglyceride. When I did it this last week, I had a 46. So I'm not great at math, but that's a huge decrease, monumentous. And I think, based on my conversation with my doctor, that the biggest contributor to that is diet, but mostly it's cutting out the alcohol. So cutting out the alcohol and eating less shitty food, specifically sugar, has lowered my triglyceride by a couple 100% plus some. So I think that is amazing. I love seeing the data change as you make life changes because it helps support those changes. I would have never known my triglycerides were that high. I didn't even know what a triglyceride was, right? But as you get a little older, I'm only 42, but pretty soon that type of stuff really matters. And so I'd rather get a grip on it now. So moral of the story is, between the sleep and the alcohol and sugar reduction, well, alcohol is 0, but feeling great, seeing great stats as I record almost everything I'm doing. So I thought that was interesting. So long and the short is, if you want to feel better during the day, make sure you have a good sleep schedule. You get it every night. It's like you protect it with everything you've gotten. Secondly, if you haven't got your blood done in a while, it's fun, I think. Go get it done. See how everything looks. If there's something out of whack, ask your doctor how you can get it in whack. For me, it was my triglycerides, and I think cutting alcohol, minimizing sugar, and some of the other stuff I've done has really helped with that. So my risk of heart disease and stroke has gone down. Yay. That's all I got for you folks. I hope you guys have a great day. So this week is going to be amazing. I have Ryan Mickler coming on the podcast, who is the founder and owner of Order of Man podcast, and he has a whole ecosystem of Order of Man. I love listening to Ryan's podcast. He is an inspiring gentleman. I have him coming on, and then I also have Remy Warren coming on this week. That interview will come out next week as well. So lots of good stuff planned. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Altitude Show on YouTube. You listen to the Cole Kramer podcast, and you tell a friend about everything that's going on here. I appreciate you guys' support so much. Lastly, go support GoHunt.com. sign up for Insider, get 20% off using code altitude. This week I was just noticing on they have strategy articles on there. The Nevada deadline is May 10th, and there's a huge strategy article Brady Miller just posted on there that has tons and tons of great data if you are going to apply for Nevada. So get on there, read that, sign up to be an insider, 20% off using code altitude. Have a great day, folks.